Perhaps like me, you just finished encoding your entire DVD collection to MP4 and you chose AC3 audio, which is the audio track on DVDs, as the audio codec, only to discover that the video file won't sync with your iPad because the video app on the iPad will not read AC3 audio. Now, you don't want to rip your entire DVD collection again, and you don't really want to have to re-encode the MP4s, as this would reduce quality and take a long time. But you would like to be able to play your MP4s on your iPad. Now, there are some pay-for apps that will do this. This is on iOS, I looked at Infused, which costs £10, and AV Player HD, which costs £3, that will read AC3 audio. Of the two, I'd say Infuse is better, as you can cast a Chromecast and it will see hard drives plugged into your router's USB port if you want to stream from there. But let's say you don't want to spend any money. Is there a solution? Well, iPad does support the AAC audio codec. Now, the ideal would be if you could create new MP4 files, passing through, muxing or copying the video instead of re-encoding it, whilst re-encoding the audio to AAC, and keeping the AC3 5.1 audio as a second soundtrack if you still want to be able to play it through, say, your sound system in 5.1 surround sound, perhaps through your DVD player's USB port or hard drive. Well, there is a relatively simple way that you can batch process the videos in a folder, creating new video files in another folder with the same file names. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not an expert on the software we're going to look at, which is FFMPEG. I only discovered it a few days ago. But I have been able to gather enough information to create a script that works for me. Now, this works on Windows. You may need to change the script for it to work on Linux or Mac, and I can't really help you with that. Now, the video files that I encoded, the standard definition DVD rips I encoded with Handbrake. And so far this has worked flawlessly with them. But I also encoded my Blu-rays with some brilliant software called DVD Fab Blu-ray. Now, some have encoded fine with this process, but others come up saying there's a codec error, which is something I need to look into. Now, this process, it takes about 7 minutes to convert a standard definition DVD rip. If you want to have two audio tracks, then the iPad will only sync if the first audio track is an AAC track. If you use AC3 and then AAC, it won't sync, so keep that in mind. And I've written this script so that it works even if your file names have spaces in them. So let's start the process then. The first thing you need to do is install FFmpeg. So a quick internet search, FFmpeg, download. The top result there, ffmpeg.org, download. Windows builds, takes you to this page. You can choose your architecture, 64, 32-bit, but we want the static one, and download. Now, I've already got this saved. Okay, so you'll end up with one of these, a zip file. You can extract that here. Once you've extracted it, you'll have a folder with another folder in, and at this point you need to create a new folder somewhere. I use the root of my hard drive because it's easier to find in command prompt. So, new folder, I'm going to call it FFmpeg. Going to copy and paste them into here. Great. The next thing you need to do is go into the bin folder, which contains the ffmpeg.exe. In here, we're going to create a couple of new folders called input and output. You can call them what you like, but you'll need to change the code if you do. Make sure you choose the same case. Also, I need to get a video file. Okay, here's one of my original DVD rips. I'm going to put that in there. put that in the input folder. Lastly, we need to create a batch file to put the command in. So right click, new, text document, and I'm going to call this convert folder. The name doesn't really matter. One thing that's important though is you need to make sure that you've got enable extensions enabled so that you can change it from a text file to a bat file. If you want to rename it, yes, and notice it changes. In Windows 10, that is here, file name extensions, enable, unenable. Right, so we've got the batch file now, and now we need to put the information in it. This is the code that you need to put in. Obviously, here's one I created earlier. Right click, edit, paste. I'll try and work out how to put a link so that you can copy this code. So basically what this is saying is that we're going to, for everything in the input folder that's MP4 extension, we're going to run FFMPEG, map the video to copy the video track instead of re-encoding it. We're going to map the audio track and encode the first one with AAC and then copy the track again at the AC3 and keep the same file name. I'm going to file and save. Okay, and this process is ready to go. As simple as that. So I'm going to double click on this. Notice the command at the top. There's the original command, and it's sort of converted that code to here. It's understood it. This just takes a few seconds to get going. Now, if you put multiple files in here, it will run through the files one after the other. There we go, and it's starting to encode. Now, I don't know if you can see on mine. Is it going to let me? There you go. Second, track 2 codec frame size is not set. I get that error, but everything encodes fine for me. So I'm going to leave that running. That takes about 7 minutes, as I said. In the meantime, let me show you some useful software. There's some useful software called Media Info. I'll just show you where you find that. Okay, there's the official site. It's worth downloading. It's really useful because once you've installed it and enabled it, you get a right-click context menu, Media Info. And it will show you the codecs and the information about the video file. So you can see one video stream, advanced video codec, H.264, MP4, and one audio stream, AC3, and it's got the bit rates and the frame size. You can see this one has only got 4-channel AC3 instead of your 5.1. Come back to this later. So I'm just going to pause now. Now there's another method you may want to use to run the convert bat file, folder file. So if you get any errors when doing this, because the command prompt comes up, once it's finished processing, it will disappear, which you don't want if you want to see what the error logs were. So another way of running it is to go to here and do a search for your command prompt. cd / takes you back to the root, cd ffmpeg / bin, and then you can type that command in here. .bat, and what that will do, it'll run the same command, but the command prompt window will stay open at the end, so you can see if there's been any errors. It might help you to work out why it doesn't work for you. So that's another way of doing things. So it's finished encoding. I'm going to go into the output folder, and there it is, Edward Scissorhands. And just to show you, so input on the right, go to Media Info, output on the left. Okay, so there's the original, one video stream, one audio stream. It's now got one video stream and two audio streams with AAC first, then AC3 second. And there you can see AAC. One thing to point out, if you notice the file size, the original one is 1.19 gigabytes and the new one is 1.38 gigabytes. So it's added about 200 megabytes in adding the AAC track. That's really useful. So just to prove that it works, let's load up. There we go. My iTunes with my iPad. Click on my iPad. Films. Drag the file across. Make sure you've got enough space. And it's starting to copy. And that works. So hopefully you'll find this tutorial useful. If I discover anything else, then I'm sure I'll create another video.